On the news, voter apathy looms in Anambra's elections as residents desert streets. Death toll rises to 38 at Ikoyi building collapse. And freed Uni Abuja staff narrates ordeal in hands of kidnappers. We're glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogrinde. The death toll in the 21-story building that collapsed on Monday on Gerrard Road in Ikoyi, Lagos State has increased to 38. Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy Bengal Motosho made the disclosure when he visited the site of the collapsed building on Friday. Addressing the press and relatives of missing persons, Motosho debunked viral claims that rescue operators took daily breaks, putting the lives of victims at risk. He further revealed that access was now being granted to relatives of victims to identify the bodies of their loved ones at the infectious disease hospital in Yaba.
Let me correct the impression in some reports today that the workers here stopped working. Nothing like that. The work is still on and is going to continue until we can account for everybody who went there, who anybody may think may have gone in there. Until we are satisfied that nobody is left behind there, we are going to continue the work. What happened was that there was an agreement with the families here that the guys who are working should rest. They should rest a little bit, and that didn't even take so long a time. So far now, we have recovered 38 bodies, and as you know, we have 9 survivors. And some bodies are ready for identification. So people can go to ID Asiaba as from 4 p.m. to identify the bodies of their loved ones. For bodies that may be very difficult to identify, we are going to be conducting a DNA test for them, for such bodies to be identified.
Despite assurances of a violence-free election by security operatives, residents of Anambra State have expressed fear and apprehension of a possible bloodbath at the polls on Saturday, November the 6th. Streets and major highways in Awka, the Anambra State capital, were deserted, casting doubt over Saturday's governorship elections. Details in this report. Barely 24 hours to the governorship election set to hold in Anambra State, major highways and streets are unusually empty, with residents keeping indoors for fear of attacks. An educator, Onyinye Ezechuku, is one of many residents in Anambra State who desires to participate in the elections, but the fear of violence and heavy military presence might not make this happen.
Actually, yes, people are generally afraid to cast their votes tomorrow because in Anambra, there's kind of this insecurity, and besides, we are giving a 1 week sit at home from 4th November to 11th, and the sudden cancellation will lead to people being scared of moving out. And we also saw proofs of army vehicles coming into Anambra. So what you hear from people saying is that I don't think I'll go out tomorrow, they are coming to shed blood, this and that, we are not sure of casting our vote. That's what you will hear from people. But normally in Anambra State, when we have elections, people are eager to vote. People are eager to sit in their polling units to see the conclusion and the counting of the ballot paper before the INEC officials will go. But I don't think people will want to go regarding this sit at home and IPOB massacre and all these army vehicles that they saw yesterday.
But the heavy security presence, according to the Inspector General of Police, Alkali Baba, is not to cause panic among residents, but to protect law-abiding citizens who wish to cast their vote.
This massive deployment is not designed to intimidate the law-abiding, as insinuated in some quarters. In the contrary, it is to reassure them of adequate protection by deterring misguided political elements as well as non-state actors that might be bent on threatening the election through acts of armed violence or other conducts that violate the provisions of the Electoral Act.
To further ensure a smooth and violence-free polls, candidates in the forthcoming elections, led by the Chairman, National Peace Accord, General Abdusalami Abubakar, were charged to uphold the tenets of the peace deal signed by all candidates.
It's not a mere exercise. It is indeed a clarion call for all the candidates and the political parties and all Anambarians to commit themselves to a peaceful process.
Heightened tension between the federal government and separatist group IPOB makes Anambra election a high-risk one. While the country's electoral commission has called for peace during and after the polls, the coming days will be the acid test. Folashade Ogurinde, TV360 News. The 3 senior lecturers of the University of Abuja and family members who were abducted by suspected bandits from the Giri quarters of the institution have all been rescued. The victims were reportedly rescued following the operations of the combined security forces, including the police, DSS, military and the University of Abuja safety officers. In an exclusive interview with TV360 Nigeria, some of the victims narrate their audios in the hands of the kidnappers.
I knew there was negotiations. I don't know how it came about. We, as a family, I've been with the family. We've been praying. We've been in the house. We've been focused on, trying to, be strong together as a family. We've been positive, and at this point, we are just happy that we've gone through this phase. Probably more information will come out about how everything came about. I learned, just like everybody, I saw it even on the news, that a certain amount was to be paid. As a community and friends, families, well-wishers have been trying to see how we can put these things together, money together to see, but we just thank God at this point. There's no much to, we are just grateful.
They requested for the ransom of 15 million. We are so in short. The million is heavier than we do, because we don't even know, even the prof himself, since he started working, I don't think he even has that such money. So when he said that, they say each person, that's 100 million for 2 of them. Where will you get the 100 million from? So everything, we are so devastated. We are just, and they refuse to calm down. Actually, there was a negotiation, but we are just on it and calling God, because we know that it's God that can do everything. Even that 15 million God is more than them.
The House of Representatives has reiterated its commitment to support the Nigerian military in protecting the sovereignty of Nigeria. The Chairman, House Committee on Army, Abdulrazak Namdas, made it known in Abuja during the 2021 budget performance and 2022 budget proposal of the Nigerian Army at the National Assembly. On his part, Director Nigerian Army Training and Doctrine, Major General Stevenson Olabanji, while highlighting the activities of the institution, hinted the committee of a special force training geared towards beefing up the personnel strength of the Nigerian Army.
Our visit gave us more confidence that TRADOC is doing exactly what it was established to do. This is because our visit coincided with an ongoing training which we decided to observe. And what we saw actually shows that TRADOC is doing its own doctrine and then training officers and men in the Nigerian Army.
The essence of this special forces training is to further give these personnel some specialized training in the aspect of watermanship, deep diver, airborne, and living off the land capabilities. Other aspects of this training will be in the areas of target acquisition, tracker, assailing and repelling, counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency training, amongst others. These are all geared towards beefing up the personnel strength of the Nigerian Army and further increase our fighting capabilities in order to bring a lasting solution to the insecurity challenge in our country.
The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has halted plans by the federal government to deduct $418 million from the bank accounts of 36 states of the Federation. The court, in a ruling that was delivered by Justice Inyang Ekwo, ordered the federal government to suspend the planned action pending the determination of a suit that was brought before it by governments of the 36 states. The federal government had insisted that the $418 million it intends to withdraw from the state accounts was to service a debt for contracts that were allegedly executed for the states. We'll take a break here, but still to come, anti-government alliance forms in Ethiopia. Details of the story and more right after this break. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. Residents of Anambra State have expressed fear and apprehension of a possible bloodbath despite assurances of a violence-free election by security operatives at the polls on Saturday, November the 6th. Streets and major highways in Awka, the Anambra State capital, were deserted, casting doubt over Saturday's governorship elections. We also told you that the death toll in the 21-story building that collapsed on Monday on Gerrard Road in Ikoyi, Lagos State, has increased to 38. Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, made this disclosure when he visited the site of the collapsed building on Friday. Addressing the press and relatives of missing persons, Omotosho debunked viral claims that rescue operators took daily breaks, putting the lives of the victims at risk. And in case you missed any of our news bulletin, for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. The Ministry of Health and the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 at loggerheads over the disbursement of 1.2 billion naira COVID-19 Management Fund. The PSC chairman, who was represented at the Senate by a permanent secretary in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Maurice Iberi, said the 1.2 billion naira was released to hospitals for treatment of COVID-19 patients. While refuting the claims, the director of the Department of Hospital Services in the Ministry of Health, Adigbimpe Adebiyi, said no money was released to the hospitals after meeting all requirements. The lawmakers, however, resolved to have a roundtable on a later date with the interested parties. Pfizer has announced that its experimental oral pill for COVID-19, Paxlovid, helps reduce the rate of hospitalization and death by 89%. According to a statement released by Pfizer on Friday, interim analysis of the trial involving 775 participants showed an 89% reduction in risk of COVID-19 related hospitalization or death from any cause. Pfizer thereafter announced that it will ask the United States Food and Drug Administration and international regulators to authorize its pill as soon as possible. Well, we'll take a break here and return with more stories and business. Do stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if this thing he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Now, up next is business news and stock market review with Mary Kanu. Over to you, Mary.
Well, thank you for Lashadi. And in business, the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has proposed a total of 160 billion naira in the 2022 budget, as against a total of 129.59 billion naira allocated to the ministry from 2016 to 2021. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy Issa Pantami made this known when he appeared before the Joint Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Communications, ICT and Cybercrimes for Budget Defense. Pantami also revealed ongoing plans to reorganize the Nigeria Postal Service.
I think the contribution of ICT to GDP in the second quarter of 2021 is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria, according to the statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics, that ICT contributed 17.92%. With all sense of humility, in the history of Nigeria, there wasn't any time that ICT contributed up to 17.92% to our GDP. This is also a credit to the National Assembly and also to the executive arm of government for working together to ensure that we continue to promote the contribution of ICT to our GDP. With all the constraints, we have done a lot to make NIPOS a better place. Firstly, I even make a proposal of unbundling NIPOS. Firstly, to establish what we call Property and Development Company. Today, NIPOS has over 2,500 property or thereabout all over the country. So if we have a company in place, we'll be able to develop this property and ensure that NIPOS can generate money from that. So this is a property and development company to bring together all the property, sometimes even through partnership. And in establishing the company, I can say we have reached 90%.
Meanwhile, the Senate Committee Chairman on ICT and Cybercrime, Yakubu Sani, commended the ministry for its contribution to the nation's economy.
Your ministry is contributing to the bottom line, particularly growing our GDP. If what we are doing in Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy can be replicated in other sectors, I think we won't be speaking the same language today. So we'll give you more work. Please explore other opportunities, because the world is going digital, and we are happy that we have you there. Nigeria is not taking last. We thank God for that.
Still in business, the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has advocated the completion of abandoned and uncompleted projects rather than spending scarce resources on new road projects. Fashola made this known during the week when he appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Works to defend the ministry's budgets.
The number of projects are increasing, and all of us must find a way to come to a consensus, because our revenues are not increasing at the same exponential rate. And what we are seeing every year is that we appropriate for a very token amount for a project of certain quantums. And then once the award is done, the question of financing becomes a challenge. And with inflation and everything, there must come a time when we can say, and I think that time is now, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, enough of new routes and new projects. Let us concentrate our limited resources to complete or progress some of what we have started.
I therefore call on the agencies present here to come up with creative and innovative ways to generate income and do not entirely depend on budgetary allocation from the federal government. The House of Representatives will provide you with all legislative support you may need to attain your financial independence.
On his part, the Chairman House Committee on Works, Kabir Abubakar, advised the Works Minister on the need to look inwards and come up with ways of generating revenues internally to further assist the federal government in financing some of its projects. Well, we'll take a break here and return with a review of the stock market. Do stay with us. But what a week it has been for the equities market as the market giants brought on their A game to close the week with the bull in charge at 0.17%. Now, this is definitely not surprising with the gains of third quarter corporate earnings being digested by investors. Now, today's activity is proof of this as the total value of transactions rose to 2.382 billion naira, while volume of trade surged by more than 72%. Now, the financial services sector is still shining bright as Wema Bank and Chi PLC led 25 gainers to top the chart with 13 kobo gains. Now, while paving the way for decliners, we see Unilever top the losers chart alongside Universal Insurance as well as 13 other equities. Now, moving over to some selected global stocks, the UK, US and Asian stocks. Now, after surging to post-pandemic highs, we see that FTSE has maintained momentum and is trading high at 0.36%. US stock Dow Jones punched also to new highs at 0.60%, boosted by positive earnings and COVID treatment news, as well as a strong October payrolls report. Now, playing down the gains by FTSE and Dow Jones, Asian stock Nikkei is currently trading low at 0.61%. Well, that's all on today's review of the stock market. Folashade, over to you now.
Well, thank you so much, Mary, for that update. On the foreign scene, the government in Addis Ababa has said it is on the brink of victory and will continue to fight what it calls an existential war. This comes as 9 Ethiopian anti-government groups, including the Tigray People's Liberation Front and Oromo Liberation Army, have agreed to form an alliance against Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's administration. But with the rebel forces threatening to move on the capital, Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian army on Friday called on former personnel to rejoin the military to fight the rebels. Meanwhile, Ethiopia's international partners have called for an end to the hostilities. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Inkblot Production has unveiled a first-look teaser at its second feature film set for cinema debut on December 29, 2021. Starring Nancy Isime in the lead role, the romantic drama follows the rise to stardom of an up-and-coming actress, Queen, as she navigates life and love in 21st century Nollywood. Queen must find the balance between artistry and stardom while surviving the demons of her past. Superstar is directed by Ahigbe Ilozobie and stars Timini Egbuson, Ufoma McDermott, Eku Edewo, amongst others. Nigerian comedian Akpalkagi Mariam, popularly known as Tauma, has reacted to online criticisms for visiting Vice President Yemi Osinbajo along with other skit makers. In a lengthy post shared via her Instagram page on Thursday, the comedian explained the reason behind her visit to the nation's number 2 man. The IG comedian also revealed that she stressed the continuous police brutality experienced by young Nigerians. Tauma ended her statement with the words, "Get your PVC, #EndSARS, #EndPolice brutality, #lift Twitter ban." And that is all on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment now to sports, Team Nigeria dominated across all categories to sweep the medals at the second edition of the ITTF Africa Western Region Championships, which was concluded on Thursday in Lagos. The 4-day regional tournament held at the Teslim Balogun Stadium from 1st to 4th of November saw Nigeria win every gold medal on offer in the singles, doubles and team events in the men and women categories. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo has more in this next report.
After 4 days of display of top-notch skills at the second edition of the IITF African Western Table Tennis Championship, Team Nigeria topped the medal table with 6 gold medals. Nigeria's dominance started in the team events, with the men and women claiming 2 titles. Like the team event, Nigeria also defeated Ghana to clinch the men's doubles title after Amadi Ume and Orak Etin came from 2-0 down to beat Ghana's Derek Abrefa and Emmanuel Komi 3-2. The women's double event was won by Nigeria's duo of Bello and Bose Odusonya after they defeated their compatriots Hope Uduak and Vivian Oko 3-1. Meanwhile, the women's singles saw Nigeria's Fatima Bello retain a women's single title after beating compatriots Amina Fashola. For the men's single, Rilwan Akombi dazed compatriots and tournament favourite Aziz Sholanke to become the men's singles regional champion. An excited Rilwan shared how important the tournament is to developing the sports of tennis in Nigeria.
It's not an easy tournament, it's not just a state tournament, neither is it a national tournament or within Nigeria. So it's from the western region. So I know everybody that come over, they are representing their country. So they are the best in their country, let me say. So I'm happy to have won it. Lesson for me is to go and train very well, to work harder, because I shouldn't relent that I've won this, that I should now relent that I shouldn't train. No, it's not like it doesn't work like that. So I have to train and work harder to win more tournaments so that I can represent my country in the Africa as a whole and also in the world level.
With Team Nigeria dominating all the 7 events, President of the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation, Ishaku Tikon, believes the federation would consolidate on the feat.
The Western Region Championship, we have proven that yes, we're on top of the region, and the standard of both the games, the players, the organization have been very, very impressive. And that means we're in the right path. As for the players discovered, we are to nurture them now, to position them directly behind the likes of Aruna Quadri and the rest, who are already aging, and we must tell ourselves the fact that we have to start preparing for tomorrow.
This is only the second edition of the Western Region ITTF Africa, and from what we have seen throughout this competition, new stars are emerging, younger players are coming in. We had 7 countries that came for this competition, and they all came with young players, not actually the elite athletes that we're used to. And we've seen that with the right training, with the right environment, with the right exposure, these players in the next 1 or 2 years will be able to compete very well with players from all over the world.
With the enthusiasm displayed by Team Nigeria at the tournament, it's evidence that there are more glory days ahead for Nigeria in the international table tennis world. Abisola Adebayo, TV360 News.
I need to wrap on our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Fola Shadi. Well, Green Day. Bye for now.